I'm either Tim Allen of Santa Claus or Jerry Garcia of the Dead.
It's beautiful, and I would say Jerry
That's-
Garcia, but it's
What's
beautiful,
going on, Ron?
Look at that. That's from March.
How you doing? Looking lovely over there.
right?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. I'm just in
I'm
time
jealous.
to pick up some. I'm gonna pick up some side work.
Tis the season.
coming.
Yeah. And if I get like Giuliani there, I won't be sweating any kind of black.
I know.
This white's all mine.
There's no hair dye running on your side of your face on this.
No hair dye. Look at, you're gonna eat in front of me? How dare you?
Oh no, I'm just making
Oh.
a sandwich. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, that all natural. Good for you, dude.
Yeah. I just before all this, I was worried about making it back in time because I agreed to pick Amish partner's daughter at the bus station and not knowing when they'll come in. And I told them they better be on time or I'll leave them there. It's a long walk home. No, everything's good. You got
Good.
people lined up for this, or what do you think you got?
Yeah, so what I'm actually going to do is just record a conversation between us
Okay.
and then upload it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
and then one day in the future, like I mentioned to you, I would really like to coordinate exactly what you did for us earlier this January
Yeah.
with the VA. If we do a virtual, we could bring it to way more people and we can really get some knowledge going. I think that would excite everyone.
If we get lucky, this May 1st, we're going to have the inoculation party.
Mhm.
And normally I have about 15 people come out, and we can just turn around and take whatever people you got to want to do out there. If you want to have it fun, I mean, I got a shell of a building that's warm and dry.
Okay.
They can stay out there too. That's no problem. But it's been a weird year with everything going on. And right now, I'm not sure what's going on with you. We're just on the cusp of everything closing down again.
Yeah, I know.
So that'll put my restaurants, some of them, out of business.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a few things we were going to cover just so that everyone that later tunes in knows. We're going to be talking about how COVID specifically hit your market. And I want you, Ron, to introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about what it is you market. And then we're going to go into just a real small conversation about what got you into farming, because usually it's like a family affair. So I wanted you to tell your story and just some of the more rewarding things about farming, because not too many people know a farmer personally, or there's not too much storytelling that has to do with farmers. And I think Heroic Food really wants to start doing that more seriously and more regularly, is just helping you guys market and get the word out.
Yeah.
So the stage is yours. Tell your story. Tell us about this year and what changed and how do you adapt it to that?
Okay. You set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
My name's Ron Delaney. I have a small farm called Tiny House Farm, Augusta, New York. It's in Augusta, New York. The name just sounds cute. It sells. Everyone asks, where's Augusta, New York? And yes, tiny house. I have a tiny house on Tiny House Farm. Unusual. I'm retired Army. I was in for 21 years. I literally traveled the world. I am also a city kid. I had nothing to do with farming in my life. I don't even know what gravitated me towards this. It started with a succession of Cornell meetings that I still regularly attend if we can. And what seemed to hit me was the idea of growing log-grown shiitake mushrooms. I had encountered that probably 20 years back up in a thing called Solarfest up in Vermont, but the methods that they were using were very crude, and I said, what's the point of all this? When Cornell actually brought it back using high-speed grinders and other methods, it finally made sense to me. And I actually then went out with the idea I needed to find some rural land fairly close to me, and I can do a mushroom operation out there. Land was hard to find. Land was expensive. It's difficult for anybody to get started. But what you don't realize also is the amount of equipment and infrastructure you have to put in place in order to sustain it. Otherwise, you're literally living or having all your tools in the middle of your van. Jasmine wanted me to talk about the idea of COVID and what happened with us. Of course, it's affected us all. I'm dealing mostly in only specialty items, for the most part, starting off with shiitake mushrooms. We do have other things going on. But what happened back in March of 2019, literally, as I was preparing microgreen orders to be delivered, I was receiving contacts from my restaurants saying to cancel the order. And literally, it just went down from there. We had 2-3 weeks of supply all built up. In fact, business was so good prior to that we kept on investing and reinvesting more and more money into it, thousands of dollars, because it was going so well. Eventually, the restaurants were allowed to do takeout, but the orders remained low or sporadic. The microgreen side of it was so low that I actually imposed upon them, unless I get 10 full trays in ordering, I'm not going to produce them. We're still not back to that number yet. That's what we decided. That's what's going to take us to break even. Even with the trouble that continued on, we still planned on keep on planting no matter what, because remember the basic concept. People got to eat. So again, my restaurants were my primary means. And look at it is from the point of view, I was dealing with specialty items for high-end restaurants. When you go into that, you take a look and you do your research and you find out who has menu items that run between $25 and $50 per entree. Those are the people that can afford to pay or purchase your specialty items. I teamed up with my Amish neighbor. I did a lot of research on specialty tomatoes, squashes, cut flowers. We're literally growing the entire gambit, and the best part of it all is I am a dogged researcher, and I find the most special items that you can come across in New York State. We were selling extremely well throughout the summer, even though the restaurants were down to 30% or 50% of the business. We were actually turning over very large income in these specialty items. And as I described to my partner, have both your hands tied behind your back plus your feet, and we're still making money on these items. And I encourage anybody that if you're going to go into the market, don't think just standard sweet corn or pumpkins and all that. Think in terms of, I'll tell you some items right now is we have the 6 series, artisanal series of tomatoes. We have another one coming in called Atomic. The thing is, you've got to get onto all these various computer forums. I've even contacted Bon Appetit magazine and said, what do you forecast what the specialty items are going to be for the year? This year, in fact, I probably should get up from the table. One of the best items we got is what you call a honey nut squash. And the thing is only that big. And they're paying a price premium of $1.50 to $2 for each one of them. We just thought they were crazy enough to buy them. This upcoming year, we have another one coming into play, and I can't our number to it because the seed company, which is Row 7 Seeds, which is a cooperation between Cornell and Dan Barber out of, what's that fancy restaurant down there? Stone Barns.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And literally, it's the size of your hand. That's just a novelty item, but in the same token, we're going to get a lot of money for it. Dragon tongue beans. Row 7 also has a orange type beet that Blaze it's called. Hot seller, that's all right. Go ahead and order seeds. I already cornered the market. You're not going to get them. It's just, you got to be fast on the draw. What's going to happen is, and think of it like this, is I think there's going to be a pent-up demand for food next year if we're fortunate enough with the new administration to get the virus protections in place, anything from an actual national will to wear masks to the vaccines. People are hungry to break out of this doom and gloom
Yes, yep,
and buy items. The other
absolutely.
things that we looked at into exploring was auctions. And I think I mentioned to you, Jasmine, the other day, we were selling at fire sale prices when all these tomatoes were coming in at the same time,
Hmm.
and literally hundreds and hundreds of pounds of them. We do what we call a fire sale, and we'd sell them for $2 a pint instead of $2.50 or $3. They were spending $2.05 to $2.10 for a pint at auction. That's unheard of because they didn't have that in their supply system. We also had some other specialty tomatoes that were just not normal. Up here, everybody concentrates. I call them the orange baseballs, the standard hothouse
Yep.
tomatoes that everybody in the world's got that you
The
buy at
meat.
Walmart. Yeah, they're tasteless. Um, but the thing is right now I'm fearful, as we talked about earlier, what's going to happen to us with the close downs upcoming this month and next. The city of Syracuse already went into Governor Cuomo's orange area. They're already closing restaurants. If they can survive on takeout through that period of time, then we'll make a little bit of money off of it. We're also, no matter what, the auctions will be open. And we actually had I don't know what you want to call it. It's beyond a road stand. It's actually an attraction
Hmm.
that's a food stand that actually wants to buy our produce because we've been producing anything, like I said, dragon tongue beans to a
Okay.
fancy bean but called haircut Volcaire, which is a haircut Volcaire in French is green bean. Yeah, but people still pay a premium price for it.
So I want to
But we're
touch on
looking,
that because for a lot of people that may not have like business savvy, we're mentioning premium points. So what I want to do is um, just mention, kind of bring in conversations I had with groups at the Farmer Veteran Coalition Stakeholder Conference over, I think it was like the 18th and the
yeah,
19th.
they had it. Yes, they had it. Hmm.
And what we were all talking about was one is the importance of storytelling. Like farmers get into the business because they love the stewardship, they love the lifestyle, but they're not running it like a business. You know, they're not doing spreadsheets, they're not doing cost risk, they're not doing a lot of the things you're talking about, which is like, you know, they're doing a lot of the standard corn, a lot of the standard seed, when you're talking about doing specialized, which is
Yeah.
something that that heroic food we try to get into with veterans. We want to set them up for the highest possible success when they become, if they were to become a farmer. And so we really focus on value added products. So
Right.
what you're talking about is like take the standard and twist it a little bit. And if you know your market, and if you know what the demand is, then you can have a really nice relationship with a local restaurant or a
Hmm.
local food production, so whatever it may be. You can get really creative as an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
so for you, which side do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy the farming and the lifestyle, or do you enjoy the number crunching and the data and the business and the relationships that it cultivates?
I call this back as how I was raised in the 50s and 60s. It's called getting over on the man. Um, Basically, coming up with the idea of pet rock or cabbage patch doll, whatever the latest or greatest is, the idea of the research of it. A site I go into all the time is called Tomatoville. They are constantly talking about new varieties of tomatoes out there,
Hmm.
and it comes out to be as the newest, the greatest, the most unusual item is the item that you're going to sell to a higher end restaurant that's menu price point is between $25 and $50 per entree. I'm not talking about, quite frankly, my restaurants that I go for, getting a meal for $11.99 kind of place. Your plate's awful full. These are the small little micro dishes that they serve you in 5 courses because they're the ones that are willing to pay the highest price for it. Can you imagine as if you have something like, I don't know, watermelon radish, and instead of selling them for $1 a bunch, you're selling them for $3 a bunch. Um, Everything is based on research, but I've also already found out people are going to copy you. So you can't just sit back and be stale. Okay. Right now, today's a wonderful day. Right before I got on this has just come in the mail. Harris Seed catalog.
Your seeds.
Harris Seed is right here out of local in New York. If I ordered big, if I wanted to, because I'm cheap, not only do I have a tax ID, right? I will also be willing to drive to Rochester to save myself $100 in shipping. I don't care. I'm cheap. I'm doing the same thing with potatoes from Maine to stuff coming out of Vermont. The idea is to get your dollars down to the most low level. Because I have a partner that not only using their farm, but now my farm this year, because one of the things that's already in progression is I put in for an NRCS hoop house, which I won't see for, in reality, almost 2 years. One of the tips given to me is to take the landmass area that's 30 by 100 and plant it. This already demonstrates to them that you can pull this off.
Yep.
That'll be filled with the specialty items along with my partner planting the same item, but also the idea of learning about trellising and drip tape.
Yes.
We all have water challenges. I got a water challenge so far as my stream is polluted by the conventional farmer around me. I discovered that when I was doing the mushrooms. I have a small brook that I access that would give me enough gallons to transport to a filter system, and I can run it through the drip tape systems. All this is a learning adventure for me because, again, I did not grow up as a farmer. I'm just a problem solver, and that's where I got out of the military. I can deal with problems. I accept problems. That's just every day. So the thing is to look at is this COVID is just a problem, and there's a pent-up demand. Look at the news right now today. 1 million people are traveling on airplanes today. They know the virus is out there, but they're willing to go home for mom and her pumpkin pie. That's how crazy we've gotten. It's the same thing's going to happen next June, July, and August when there is I'll use the word hankering for fresh produce. I'm going to be sitting there. A lot of conventional farmers, they're going to sit back and go, gee, should I invest $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 in seed and not be able to sell it? If I can't sell it to my restaurants, I still have the auctions. I still have the I don't even know the word for it when it's a tourist destination that has a farm stand, plus they have an orchard, all that stuff over there, and they've already approached us to sell them our unusual items, especially they're looking at our dragon tongue beans and haircut Volcare. We'll hit them with all this other stuff, and they'll just be knocked over and we'll sell it to them at we want to sell at prices. We're not worrying about where you're lucky. I wish I had access to your type markets, which would then enter into New York City.
Money. There's so much money to be made here. I'm in a hot spot. I'm trying to get veterans like, hello. Well, it's a gold mine. It's a gold mine.
The Hudson Valley and down to New York City, my mushrooms, which I sell up here for $11, $12 a pound, sell for about $25, $26 down there in the city.
Mm-hmm.
If you had access to that kind of market, and I don't have that access because I've already explored the ideal of wholesalers, and they're not willing to offer me anything near what I can make on my own.
No.
The thing is people are going to have to take a risk. You're going to have to bet because it's just like you're playing poker, whatever you're going to do, but you're not betting because, again, people have to eat, and people get tired of the same old thing.
I love that. You rate that.
Yeah. People have to eat. Even the corn that we sell corn is a specialty corn, and we sell it for $5 a dozen. The average stuff up here sells for $3.
Yeah, it's a business, and you have to know what's coming in, what's worth your time and energy. Because when you're an entrepreneur, energy is time.
What I do cry over, though, is my loss of my fairs and events. Normally, we would do 4 of them. We would walk out of there between $1,200 and $1,800 for a 4 or 5 hour event. Would sell mushroom logs down to, and you've seen these before, we even have our own T-shirts and soap. We do everything under the sun that we possibly can do to make a buck. And the thing is, you don't have to work that hard or think that hard. in order to pay it to pull this off, all you got to do is pay attention to what's going on around you. People just go crazy over these novelties. Although you wouldn't remember this, but it's just like a pet rock. If you ever heard of such a thing,
Yeah.
look it up. Who would, in their right mind, pay $2 or $3 for a rock with some little wiggly little eyeballs on it? But people did it. Cabbage Patch dolls. They were literally killing each other in Walmart for those things. It's coming down to is finding the novelty and being able to hawk it. And you got to have the shtick. And the shtick, if you're former military, is I can't see it right now. We're your Farmer Veteran Coalition. I'm going to step up here. I'm being rude, but every sales call I go on to, I got this cap on. Okay.
You got one. Oh, where's mine? Oh, it's somewhere around here.
Okay. Then finally, because of the virus, if you got a wife that's creative, is having a mask, and I don't know if you can see it. That mushroom on there.
Yes.
They just laugh like you wouldn't believe, and you're cool and you're neat, and they pay you extra because of it.
It's cute. Remember you had what's your tagline? It's like, eat my shiitake.
Eat my shiitakes. I say literally it. At first people look at it and they think it's rude. It's not being rude. It's just something that's memorable. Again, like Tiny House Farm. My first tiny house on Tiny House Farm was the outhouse. That's why I called it Tiny House Farm, the outhouse. Yeah. And then it came up to is, you know what? I am going to put a tiny house, and I have that house on there. Part of the problem I got right now is I can't decide on the paint color because I'm just involved in so many of these small little details that I enjoy so much.
Yeah.
The growing the item is that's just work. That's just going through the motions and doing it. And because I teamed up with the Amish, and I tell you, they're an untapped resource.
Yeah.
If you can develop a relationship, and it took me 5 years to develop a relationship with my neighbors, that we cooperate on literally everything that's going on. It comes down to when I plant my field now in May, they'll have some of the kids come over twice a week just to pull the suckers off the tomatoes or whatever. Yeah. But again, we're sharing the profits on that. People that a lot of us, we get involved with farmers, we think, okay, I'm going to do an orchard of something. Okay, who's going to pick your apples? Last year, one of our main orchards had to give their apples away because they couldn't get the migrant workers that affected them because of the thing. There's no labor. You're not going to get a college kid or a high school kid to come out there. So you better think in terms of doing something that's easy. I just planted 225, well, okay, we call them June berries. They're Canadian Saskatoons. There's a twofold in that. Is one is I call the thing fire and forget. I put them in the ground and not have to worry about them anymore. To pick them, I have again my Amish. But the thing is I really don't want that open field. Okay, I bought the property for the mushrooms, not that open field that I got. I'll put stuff out there. I have anything from elderberries to lavender to pink pussy willows. I got a bunch of junk out there, but it's all with the concept of being different and unusual. I can't wait for the day that some young couple wants to go out there and sit on a bench in the middle of lavender. It looked nice this year too. Got 500 of them out there.
I have
500 of them. They're just gorgeous.
Lavender, love it.
I'm going to be cut flowers this year because as a offshoot to what my Amish did for me, I am selling flowers to the restaurants on a bulk scale. They buy half a bucket or a bucket at a cheap price, and whatever the varieties we got at that time same. We found out we needed filler material this year, but when I add the filler material, it's going to cost them another $1 or $2 just to get that half bucket again. Okay. And it's just adding on and adding on and adding on because, again, I can't describe what's going on with people and the restaurants about the pent-up demand. That's why people are flying today. There's a pent-up demand. Right now, in fact, if you're thinking about doing the farming this year, you better order your seeds right now today because another month from now, you're not going to get them. Get seeds now. And the more strange they are, you better get them now. I got a flash message from that row 7 seeds. I've already ordered my seeds, so I'm not worried about you guys. is basically they're going to leave. They're going to be gone even going into December. That's what happened last year too. Anything from I do microgreens, and I order a 25-pound sack of sunflowers. They became short supply. Leeks became short supply. You couldn't even consistently put the items out there. But I was going back to is I lost my events this year. That I lost a lot of money on that because we sold so many different variable items. We got down to the point where then we also would meet new chefs because it's advertising on its own. It hurt us, but the same token, everything's still there in place. I am fortunate, I'm blessed in life on what I had because I retired from the Army. I retired from the federal government. Last year, I have all these insurances in place. The farm is self-funding with no debt. And then the idea is that's what you got to look at, and that's where the restaurants are going to suffer, is they're generally speaking, they rent or lease the restaurant space. They don't own the building. Rent is due, I guess, end of January this year, where their protections leave them. So there's going to be a lot of strange happens. But one thing I've always found out with the restaurants, when one goes away, another one pops up.
Yeah.
It just happens because there has to be a diversity of this food, and not everybody wants the chain stores down to, like with us, I make fun of this because I grew up here. You can have Italian, because that's all you would find in, say, Rome, New York, growing up. Whereas now we got anything from French food to good Asian food. The new wave, I got chefs that have gone to, and that's another thing to look for. When you're studying the about of a restaurant, find out if the chef actually is a school trained chef. Did they go to Johnson & Wales? Did they go to Culinary Institute of America? Did they go to Cornell? That's your quality level that you got to look for. The thing is now, I think also has become big. If you want to be conventional, think about agritourism. We had one farmer almost go down the tubes. He would just grow easy stuff. Well, now he's doing haunted trails to large fields of sunflowers to wedding events. He's finally smartened up off all these years. We unfortunately think of farming as a static business. I look at here in upstate, everybody wants to be a dairy farmer. Why? I don't get it. Why would you want to be a dairy farmer? You know, I like cows like the next person, but the same token, there's no money in that.
Yeah,
there's no money in it. You have to break into new areas, and the virus is just another little problem to overcome here. We all got to be careful. You got to be smart about it. Again, dealing with the people that you deal with, show them respect so far as come in, anything from wearing gloves to a mask and treating your food properly, you know, the hygiene and the whole 9 yards, because we're all leery of what's going on with the virus. But a lot of people, you just can't look at it. You got to treat it special. Everything I have is special. If you knew about my mushroom operation and see it and think about how we worry about the water quality level. That's one thing I got to do here with a water test sample because of E. coli and all this other stuff to finally, okay, when you clean off the mushrooms, you use an oilless air compressor, not blow on it. You know, people do that. They tell me they do that, you know.
Not today.
Package it. You know, package it. You see my packages, my plain brown bags that I got. It just goes on and on and on, the things that we can do. But the good old days of just producing this straight corn or soy or whatever, I'm sure you could do all that. I just thought of something. I remember it came up in one of the veteran forums. Somebody came up and said, basically, I got almost 1,000 piglets to sell. The supply chain broke down and they weren't processing the pigs. They're going to sell them for $20, $25 each. All you have to do is drive in and pick up 50 or 100. Okay, that sounds great. You got to remember that all the things that are in play can break down, so you got to pretty well be self-sustaining on your own. You're better off just saying, I want a small operation, get the entire family involved. And I have, my farm, when it goes on, especially when we do the inoculation, it's like a giant hippie fest. We're going to do that again May 1st. We
And we'll
did
be
not
there.
do that. But the thing is, you got to think of this, Jasmine, is when that word come about and I get my Amish to get me the 600 logs every year,
Mhm.
and they're perfect. I couldn't have anybody come to the farm. So they had the three of us sitting here crying in our beer, how are we going to get 600 done? Well, I had my wife and daughter on the weekends, and I would every day say, this is my goal for the day, and I would process 50 to 80 a day on my own and break it apart into steps and just take care of it. And you know what? Within 2 weeks, the 600 were done. I don't need all those people.
I have to ask you something then, because
Yeah.
I feel like the people watching this are going to naturally jump right to this question. What makes that effort worth it? Like what makes you choose to look at challenge like that and say, like, I'm just going to buckle through, or like, just go ahead with it.
Yeah.
And not like just quit because of the risk and because of the effort and just find like a safe 9 to 5. What brings you to this lifestyle?
I think of the days in the Army I had and how cold and miserable and how much I hated the military and everything else. And I look at it now. I just got done moving 500 waste logs from one area a half a mile to another area by myself pretty much. And I joke and I say to myself, this is better than a gym membership. Think of it. I'm getting all this exercise. I'm outdoors. It's peaceful. It's quiet. What's there to get disgusted about? I call myself a gentleman farmer. That's basically I'm just a retired bum. The thing is I enjoy being in the outdoors. I spent my youth with the Army outdoors. I worked for the federal government in an office job that the saying was watching paint dry on the walls. It was that boring. And I was glad to get out there. You can see as you look on the horizon, just like I said, people are flying now today. They want Thanksgiving so bad with mom for the turkey and the pumpkin pie that they're willing to risk their lives and travel from one side of the country to the other just so they can come home for a few days.
Mhm.
Tell me there's not a pent-up demand for good quality food. There is. And the thing is, if you come up with something that's different, I use the word strange because strange does not sell. The familiar sells. But if you have something that's a little bit different, and you mentioned this earlier and I didn't address it, if you got a story to tell, and I have nothing but stories to tell, of somebody can remind me of all the things that have gone on in my life, and I convey that story. And when I do my spiel at a fair where I'm standing in front of a double burner cooking up shiitake mushroom samples that have not only do they taste good, but they're served in a specially bamboo boat to finally, in the end, I know how to slow up the process to slowly cook them to be able to get my story out. Not only do they buy the mushrooms, but they buy a mushroom log for $25. It comes down to is the equivalent of people use the old expression, I am a carnival barker. You ever hear that expression?
Never.
Hurry, come inside. We got the sword swallower, or they stand in front of the sideshow. I'm a sideshow person. It's not so much the idea of technically I can grow this stuff. That started, I don't even know. When I bought the house here, I'd say it's about 97, 98. I started off with 4 by 4 square foot garden beds that quickly turned into 19, but they were now 4 feet by 8 feet. And all this infrastructure I had. The only problem I discovered is I was giving all this stuff away. I was growing great stuff, but I was giving it away. And then people actually then would demand that I give it away to them.
Yeah.
And I found out I could grow. But again, when it came down to when I started going to these various festivals and fairs, and I seen the things that people were doing, I say I want part of this too. And a part of that was, back to the land movement and Mother Earth News and all that. That's a great place to go, Mother Earth News Fair.
Mhm.
The thing is the virus is just another obstacle to overcome. You go from point A to point B, and if you can't get direct there, you just go around. It's costing me money this year. I made money. We do have the proverbial spreadsheets.
Mhm.
I sat down with not only my wife, but also my Amish partners and said, this is what's sold, and this is that didn't sell, down to the actual dates when we sold them. My wife's big thing is she loves numbers. That's her hobby.
Yeah, me
She
too.
works for, I won't tell her the name. She works for a large international bank. Right now, she, in fact, is upstairs. She loves the numbers. That's her deal. So you put her on QuickBooks, she just loves it. And we can sit there and say, this is what is profitable, this was not profitable. We got items that we're taking off the list that some people may have wanted it, but because it didn't make us a certain amount of money, it comes off the list. We're going to try something new. I have seeds in my possession right now that no one in New York State even have because they're test seeds from, I don't even remember the name, someone with a pig on it. Wild boar seeds. There's another one. Wild
Yeah,
boar
seeds are
seeds.
important.
Yep.
Identification of seeds.
And they gave special samples out to people that bought into. I'll tell you how new and modern I am. Come on now, GoFundMe. They had a GoFundMe. If you would kick in, I don't know how much money, $20, $30, they would send you some unusual seeds. So we'll try them out. We'll be the only one that have them. But the thing is people just can't look at it, and you just can't sit back and quit because we're not in charge of this stuff. Just like in the Army, I was not in charge. Whatever they told me I had to do, I made the best of it because life is going to go on no matter what. So why not just make the most fun and say this is nothing but a gym membership and move on? It's costing me money here and there, but in the end, I'm still staying in the black. I am amazed this year, even with the vast reduction in restaurant business, we actually made a bit of money. Um, I think of one item that I can almost cry over, which is the purple Viking potato. Try to find that little bugger. Purple Viking. Yeah, they're only available in Maine or the Midwest. You got to pay a fortune for the seeds. We actually made money on those things. I was just shocked. So I double ordered this year, and
Good.
hopefully we'll have a better return because we're going to drip tape. But there's ways
That's something
around it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry. That's something I want to make sure that we do. Before we close in a couple minutes, I want to make sure that we plug in your farm. I want you to tell everyone how to get in touch with you, what your main produce is, and just if there's any way to subscribe, like if you have some kind of newsletter they could subscribe to or Facebook page or a complete plug for you on what you do.
We haven't gone hog wild. In fact, I've been studying these people that do YouTube. If I had the beautiful personality other than this beard, I would get on YouTube and post a video every day and make 2 to 4 or 5,000 a month. I'm studying these guys. It cracks me up because I do watch quite a few of them. But it's again, Tiny House Farm, Augusta, New York. You would type that into the Facebook. If you're old enough to understand the saying, and this is my wife's humor, our website is, of course, Ron bought the farm. If you're old enough to know what that expression is, when you bought the farm, you're dead. And there she goes into the personal details so far as the whole point. Every stupid decision I've made or accident, chainsaws, cutting phones in half on my legs, she would tell the story about it because it's just amusing and we still sit back. I do have the Instagram, but you know what? I don't get into tons and tons of social media. When something comes up, we'll post something. If something is just downright stupid, I will post it. It's just we do that. Ours is we prefer not so much the social media, but the word of mouth, because we have people that contact us to say, can I get access to some of your products? I don't need to be the large, once you get into it where you're thinking, okay, it's got to be more about the money instead of having the experience, then it's no longer fun. And I'm in it for the fun. My wife's guideline is simply this, is basically so long as I stay in the black, she's good with it. And we're lucky.
Sounds good to me. Trust
Yep.
me.
Any other silly questions?
No.
I wish I can get back with you guys and do a mushroom event with you guys. Again, that came up, and I sat there with the email for a week and said, geez, I'm not going to take the risk. And the funniest thing is in the Army, I work with explosives. I got all my digits and toes and everything else is because although I took risks, I took intelligent risks.
Yes.
And I started seeing what's going on with the virus. And it's just like, nope, I'm not going to do it, because it could be that somebody's just feeling off that day. Just go ahead and wait for May, and we'll see what happens.
And I agree. That's one thing this year that the name of the game was just adaptation, because we had a full plan with the Department of VA to provide horticultural therapy and some soft skills training and farming. And that was just out of nowhere, completely dead in the water. And then we had a soft schedule figured out with some of our local farmers in New York State. And that just turned out to be obviously problematic because of state regulations, personal health, social responsibility. We were like, we got to provide value, but we also have to respect people's boundaries. We have to respect the federal guidelines because we're running our program. We need to stay completely clear. And I think that at the end of the day, it was just like you're saying, it might have turned out to be a blessing for your farm because you learned how to adapt to new things. Her Oak Food, because of this, we're getting into virtual conversations. We're talking about real farming. We're trying to bring more awareness to agriculture in New York State and some of the fun ways to get involved and support your local economy through your local farms. So it's all just positive mindsets and just keep working toward 2021 and good things will come. So
you got to adopt to the new technologies, thus the virus, and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you're going to screw up every day. It don't matter. I've hit every tree on my property with the ATV. Everyone's got a divot in there because of me. And it comes down to is, again, if you look at the average person, they got to make money. Okay, great, fine. But pick an item that you're going to just break even on, something that's going to give you a true good profit on. If you stay with the conventional, and I don't care, it's from dairy to cattle to pig to chickens, you better think outside the box. People want something new and fresh, and don't be afraid to experiment. You're going to lose money, but you're also sometimes, I just can't believe the people that lined up for those little honey nut squashes. It's crazy. We sold out. It's just crazy. So we'll increase that. And then we also have another one coming right behind it with row 7 seeds. I ordered everything last night. Again, I joked that I got all the seeds already, so I'll tell my secrets. Go right ahead, buy them. But I got mine.
So what I want to do then is I just want to put it out there that May 1st, we'll stay in touch with that. But if everything's good to go, we'll bring up a crew of veterans that come, and we'll have a great lunch. We'll get some labor done.
I have all that. I have infrastructures to toilet facilities. I joke about this, is the ladies get to use the outhouse. The guys go out in the bushes somewhere. And the ladies even have a window view with a heater in there. We can do anything from camping. We cook food. It's a kumbaya event, as I call it. And the funny part is, my wife and I know this. We'll get in there and we'll do 200 logs. I can have my wife, daughter, and I at the same time do double the amount of logs than when I got all these people around. But I enjoy having the people. That'll be posted on the Facebook. I also hit the various veteran sites to let them know. I will always give the veterans first preference. I have no problem getting 15 people. And I have people that are tied in with us that I can get the 15 people right from our group of friends. It's just the old cliche about like-minded people. There's always people. I got people that have been coming every year for 5 years. It's not a problem. And I see people even charging for this.
Yeah, so what I want to do then is just make sure that veterans and then family members of veterans, like immediate.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I get sketchy about is children and
equipment
that can, you know what, that's I don't get wrapped up on it because it's nice to see the kids in the woods. So long as the parents take responsibility for them, I don't have a deep issue, and I don't look like I get any work out of them. If I don't like the kid, I take them with me on the ATV and make them lift logs. That tires them out quick.
Yeah, it might. Well, for our workshop, it might be a little different because of the tools involved. But
yeah.
But just I want to keep the veteran population have their ears open for this because we can. I'm hoping to get a good following, 15 veterans.
It's happening no matter what. The logs are already on order. In fact, the trees already have colored tape on them. Although I haven't paid the gentleman yet, it's an ongoing arrangement. I get 600 of these logs every year. You haven't lived till you've seen a 4-horse team with steel wagon showing up with 600 logs at one time. It's an amazing sight. You think you're in the 1800s. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you go back in time to a simpler time.
And they stack the logs too, by the way. I don't have to get involved. Thank goodness.
Yeah, they're amazing. The Mennonites and the Amish.
Mennonites and Amish both.
I don't
And
know
that's,
they're just sturdy.
people need to capitalize on that if they can, but just treat them nice and treat them fairly.
Yeah.
That's all they ask
Very
for.
community-minded people. They're excellent.
Very good people. Excellent people.
Yeah, so what I want to do is just really thank you for your time. This was a great conversation, and I know that we're going to have plenty more. What I want to do is just help you and every other farmer veteran in New York State create a network, because I know marketing may not be a farmer's strong suit, but that's why Heroic Foods here.
They have to market. Yeah. They have to
let's
market.
go get the message out. So
Okay, good enough. We got it.
Well, I want to thank you and your excellent beard for joining me.
Yeah, I just wait till about we'll see, Ron. I'm getting tired of it right now. The novelty's gone. It might have to go shortly. But
just a little while longer. A little while.
I say it like this: as my barber, again, I'm a person that the young lady cuts my hair this week. I've known her for 55 years. She won't cut my beard, so I probably won't cut it till she's willing to do it. So we'll see. But the virus has got to be gone. All right, that's it.
Thanks so much for your time, buddy.
All right, take care, friend.
Cheers.
Bye now. Mm-hmm.